All right, it is time for a tag video. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm super excited to be here today and to share with you my answers to the reading tastes tag. I don't think I was tagged to do this, but I did see it over at Jen's channel, Remembered Reads. Hi Jen! And the original was created by Sophie's Thoughts. I will leave links to both of their videos down below, as well as the questions if you would like to play along. And this is all about what you like in reading, which is so much fun to talk about. So let's talk about it. First up, the first question is, what is your favorite genre? I have a couple of favorite genres. In terms of fiction, my favorite genre is urban fantasy, and with nonfiction, my two favorite genres are art books and productivity books. So those are my favorite genres. Number two, what is the most difficult genre for you to read? I think for this one, it would be narrative nonfiction. Every time I read a narrative nonfiction, I've struggled with it, not with understanding it, but with the sense of always coming up to the point of feeling like, how does the person know this? Like, how does the author know this, or the person we're following in the book know this? I don't trust what I'm reading a lot of the time, and I'm just continually going, how do you know that? So, narrative nonfiction, which is too bad because I love nonfiction. But narrative is always a struggle, which is what the question was. Number three, what is your preferred age range? I really enjoy both adult books as well as kids books, and I do read a fair amount of both. I don't read as much YA anymore. I do tend to read about one title a month or so, but I just am not as drawn to it as I used to be. I read a lot of YA back in the day, and it's a lot of fun, but I do feel like it hits the same beats, and which makes sense for the target audience or for the people who enjoy reading it. So I switched back to reading adult mostly, and kids. I love kids books. Oh my god, they are so much fun. So much fun. So yeah, love them. Number four, are you a character-driven or plot-driven reader? I don't think I'm specifically either. I do like books that are about ideas, and then in terms of urban fantasy, I often like the world that the book is set in, so that's more of like a setting thing. I think I'm more likely to negative react to a character-driven book if I don't like the character. And like plot-driven books, I kind of feel like if you understand what's happening and you're like, and you make it to the end of the story, then it's like a success, whether you liked it or not. I feel like they're more like you're on a roller coaster, and as long as you stay on the roller coaster and you go through all of the things that are supposed to happen, then it's a win. Whereas with character, if you don't like the character, it feels different, and so it's a bit apples and orange situation. So I'm not quite sure where I land on that one. Or maybe neither of those things are the most important to me, which I think actually is my actual answer. Number five, do you have a preferred perspective? I don't really always notice the perspective. I'm most likely to notice the perspective if all of a sudden I'm confused at who is speaking or whose thoughts we are following. And when that is the case, it's often third person perspective and there's like multiple people in the room. For reference, first person perspective is I went to the store. Second person perspective is you went to the store. So it's talking like the reader is the subject, I guess. And then third person perspective is Jamie went to the store, or he went to the store, or she went to the store. I like first person perspective. There is a sense of trust, with the exception of unreliable narrators, because you're following the person who's talking or thinking. And then third person perspective I like too, though, because especially if you have a large cast of characters, that's great. I also like alternating perspective. I don't know if alternating tends to always be first person or third person, but I find third person can be confusing, especially if like there's dialogue but then there's no name at the end, like George said or Maya said. Then it's like who's talking or again, when there's thoughts and you're not sure, or I'm not sure who they're associated with. So I don't have a preference. I would love to read a couple of second person perspective books. I think both You by it's made into the Netflix series. That I think is second person, and I think the 5th season is as well. So by N.K. Jemison. So yeah, I always have it. I had him in the back of my mind, and I thought about a couple years ago doing like a narrative styles perspective exploration at some point, but then it never ended up coming into happening because I always have so many ideas. But for reference, the different perspectives are first person, second person, third person, alternating, and then there's also omniscient or limited. I think that's like so one or the other, or subjective or objective. And I think again it's sort of one or the other. And I think those can be either first or third, or maybe second. I don't know if those can be second. I don't think you can have omniscient second. That would be a wild ride. Let me know if you know of any books that are in omniscient second. I'll leave a link down below to the Wikipedia page on the narrative. I think it's called Narrative Modes. I reference it quite every once in a while. I find it a fun read. Okay, let's just move on. Number 6, do you have a preferred tense? Now, this is something I can legitimately say I never notice. I never notice if something is in present tense versus past tense versus future tense. I don't think I've read anything future tense. I might have, especially like with sci-fi fantasy or weird, there might be something that I read in future tense. And past tense is I went to the store. Present tense is I am going to the store. I'm on my way to the store. I don't know which of those would be correct. And then future, I'm not sure if that's I will go to the store. I will be at the store. Does it have to be like a continuous action? Or like something that happened definitively in the future. I will be in the store. That's definitive. Not definitive by definitive. I am not the person to go to for this kind of thing, which is why I would love to do an exploration in this front. So yeah, I never notice. I think a lot of urban fantasies are present tense, like a lot of like stuff with immediacy is present tense. Past tense is okay too, and as I said, I don't think I've read a lot of future tense, so I don't know, maybe I should just start by like noting, but then you also have to be able to determine it, so it's a little school-like to have to do it. And to be honest, there is some of this stuff that I'm a little hesitant. I think this is why I pulled back on this as a project, because I'm not someone who wants to write fiction. I worry that learning more about narrative styles and tenses and all of these things would sort of pull back the curtain on the wizard, in terms of understanding the mechanics of writing. So if I find out that like future tense tends to be prophetic, or omniscient tends to be whatever, or even just that first person I like, but not if it's an unreliable narrator. Then when I read something that feels like it could be an unreliable narrator, then I might be more hesitant. I might figure it out easier if I notice it's first person unreliable. I don't know. So sometimes I worry about that, because I like the story unfolding. I don't always like knowing where the story is going. So I don't know. So let me know if I know people feel differently about that. But then also from the other perspective, there are some things that I think I will simply understand better if I understand the different tenses and the different modes and those kinds of things. So I don't know. So do you like to know that kind of stuff, or are you like me, not wanting to see the wizard? Question number 7 is, do you like series or standalones best? I think I like series with an end the best. I think that is my favorite thing. I like long arc plots. I like lots of side characters or secondary characters that you see grow over time. I like interesting worlds and things like that. And I like when it actually has like a beginning, middle, end within a long arc series. I don't like series that go on forever. Not a fan of that. And but I do also really enjoy standalones. There is something nice about picking up a book, being with it for the time, and then being done. Because I think a lot of books sort of become series, or series like finish and they just like add more. And I'm like, no, endings are good. Like endings are powerful. So it's like, if you're gonna come to an end, go for it, be ready, be on the edge of your seat, all of those kinds of things. And then have it be what it was, and then be complete and then on to the next thing and have the next thing be a next thing. So I guess I have quite an opinion on that. Number 8, which would you rather, long or short books? Recently, I've been reading a lot more short titles, 200 and under, a lot, or 300 and under. Anything that's 400 or more, I find it just sort of sits on my currently reading. And anything that will take me longer than a month to read, I find myself not being drawn towards. I think that has something to do about this particular moment in time. I do try to read a couple of longer books every year. This year I haven't done so well at that. I did finish Dune early in the year, and I do want to read Les Mis, but as the year is getting on, I know I won't finish it, so I'm a little less excited about trying it. So yeah, generally speaking, shorter is where I go, but I do like to read some long titles, but only a couple a year. Number 9, what format do you like best? And for me, currently, I'm really enjoying paperbacks a lot. They're a lot easier on the hands for me, and often I have been chopping them in half. If they're 400 pages, I'll chop them into 200-page volumes and do new covers. And then also I love reading on my Kindle or reading on my tablet, and that's primarily for just giving my hands some relief. Hardcovers are heavy, and trade paperbacks I find can be a bit unwieldy. So any way to create ease has been the way that I have chosen for the past little while, just to create some ease there, because I've been having some hand pain this year, and it actually since I've made the change there, it has been a bit better. Question number 10 is, what are you currently reading? Do you have a few minutes? Okay, let's see how quickly I can go through these. I always carry a lot of titles on my currently reading, and I do sort of like a seasonal, all the books on my currently reading. I haven't done one for a while, so let's do it now. And I'm just gonna share the titles and authors and just leave it at that. And so, okay, I think it's 32. This will sort of, I don't know when this video will go up, but I'll sort of mark where it is. Okay, so from most recent start to on my TBR forever, or on my currently reading forever, we have, first up, The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Laval, Monstrous Volume 5 by Marjorie Liu, illustrated by Sana Takeda, The Pretenders by Ibsen, Sunken Cities, Egypt's Lost Worlds by Frank Godko, The Bourne Identity by Robert Ludlum, Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab, Swordbreaker by Jennifer Robertson, Pirate's Passion by Lisa Kessler, My Soul to Keep by Tanariv Due, It Begins with Betrayal by Iona Wishaw, Tess of the Dubervilles by Thomas Hardy, another one of the long ones that didn't get very far into, Go-Go Monsters by Taigo Matsumoto. That one, I lost my library. I didn't finish it by the time it was due back at the library. Progress of Love by Alice Munro. A History of Reading by Alberto Manguel. The Essential Art History by Paul Duro. Slay by Brittany Morris. Warlord of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs. Let's Talk About Love by Claire Kahn. Blood Magic by Nora Roberts. Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. The Player's Handbook 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons by Wizards of the Coast. There'll Be Peace When You Are Done. Actors and fans celebrate the legacy of Supernatural. Edited by Anne S. Zubernes. Men We Reaped by Jasmine Ward. Starship Troopers by Robert A. Heinlein. The History of the World in Bite-Sized Chunks by Emma Marriott. Into the Wild by John Krakauer. That's a narrative nonfiction. I don't know if it's so much narrative nonfiction, actually. I don't know if I would go that far. Anyway, The Girl Who Played with Fire by Stieg Larsson. The Woman I Wanted to Be by Diane von Furstenberg. The Female Gaze by Alicia Malone. Outline Alphabets by Dan X. Solo. The Diary of Anais Nin by Anais Nin, Volume 1, and A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I will link in the cards the most recent video I did where I talked about at least the back half of those, and then hopefully the front half of those I've talked about in Friday Reads videos, or maybe in upcoming videos where I will actually finish them. It's okay. I don't mind having a lot on my currently reading, but I prefer it down, I would like to get it down to more like 20, 30, I think it's 32. which is a lot. So there we go. I didn't prep anyone to tag, so if you would like to be tagged for this video, I would love to see your tag. I think these are great questions, and a really interesting way to think about how you read and why you like what you like, or how you pick what you pick. Let me know if you'd be interested in more on a narrative, the narrative styles things. I don't think I am someone to lead or share about that because I don't know much about it, but I think it's something that is really interesting. Maybe someone else will do that. Maybe someone else already has done that and I can just watch the videos and learn. I'm sure people have talked about tenses and perspectives. I'm sure there's videos on that, but yeah, let me know if that's something that you think about. That's the one that really stuck with me in terms of where, like what I'm continuing to think about beyond the tag. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back soon in another video.